that sounded like metal on metal. Sounds like we waited too long for that brake job. Got to get at it now. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. 19 millimeter. Okay, so I'm just jacking it right there at that point. Then I'll take the wheel off and set it down on some stands, on some wood blocks. And then we just set it down. And take the jack over to the other side. Repeat. So there it is. That's metal to metal. We got every single mile off of these pads and rotors. Just want to remind you at this point, break out the parts cleaner, clean those caliper up, get the old dust out of there, and wear a dust mask too while you do this. There's the upper caliper bolt, 10 millimeter. These two bolts are. Alright, what we're going to do next is let's pry this caliper. Screwdriver in there, pry it out. I'll set it up here for now. And what I'm going to do, after I get the rotor off, we'll just hang this. Good practice to just put a hanger, an old clothes hanger here, and we'll run it through. Hang it from the strut tower. Because that way it's not going to, you don't want to, what you never want to do is dangle this from the brake hose. You got it dangling there. Tap our rotor off. This rotor's not going to be reused. The bearings feel pretty good. Okay, I'm not going to recommend letting your brakes go this far. Okay, so you need a big old C-clamp here now. Going to depress the cylinder, the piston, because it's pushed out way far due to all the wear here. So a good way to do this is with the old brake pad on there. Just use the pad. Crank the piston in. The other thing you want to check is the reservoir. Make sure it's not overflowing. You might have to remove some fluid. Okay, I checked the reservoir and it's okay, so we're going to go ahead. Let's take this piston down most of the way. There we go. I have the caliper resting on wood blocks now. It makes it easier to work on. And I'm looking at these caliper pins, checking them out, seeing if they slide, checking the boots for wear, cracking. These aren't that hard to replace, pins and boots if you need to, but if they're good, we'll keep them. I think I noticed this one's not moving as freely as I'd like it to, so I'm just going to put some fresh caliper grease on. So just push it in one direction and then pull it off of the end there, and then we'll just put a little grease on here. Put a Q-tip here somewhere. We'll do the same thing over on the other side. And just work it. Yeah, it's moving freer now. Like if you try to take these boots off, you're going to pretty much ruin them and you're going to have to get new ones. So you just want to freshen it up a little bit, that'll work. So before putting the pads back in, I'm going to again grease down the contact surfaces where the pads are going to touch, including the face of this piston here. Okay, just for demonstration, I have the caliper mounted without the pads. It's a little confusing on this car. They don't mount the same, driver and passenger. On the passenger side, it'll mount on top. Calipers, of course, are different. They have to be, but just a little tip. Okay, we've got some new brake pads and some Napa pads here. Okay, so don't put a little caliper grease on the contact surfaces here. And spread this around a little bit. Let's seat them. This one goes right inside the piston. These are actually very easy to seat on this particular vehicle. And then the other one, outboard, just kind of snaps into place. Easy as can be. There are harder applications. While working on this one, I just have it up on some blocks, a couple wood blocks, toolbox. Okay, now before I put the new rotor on, I'm just going to clean off some of the little bit of the rust here on this. Then I'll wipe it down. And finally, I'm just going to put a little grease on this back, on this hub here. I've seen these things rust on. Let's try to avoid that. Now with our new rotor, now these come packaged to prevent corrosion. Okay, make sure you clean your rotor off both sides. They've had some kind of oily protectant on here. Keep it from rusting on the ride from China. So I'm just using lacquer thinner to get that off of there. Okay, the other thing I do is just throw a little bit of grease on the surface here. Give it a chance so it doesn't rust on there. Okay, let's put the rotor on. I usually like to turn one lug nut on there just to hold it in place as I mount the caliper. That's optional. Okay, so here on the driver's side, bottom first. Okay, when you've got it seated now on that lower lip, you can just push the top in, the spot, into place. Okay, remember to put a little bit of grease, caliper grease, on the barrels of these bolts, the caliper bolts. Okay, and here's the lower one. So set your torque wrench to 30. Crank them down to 30. There it is. Okay, do the passenger side Remember, this caliper actually mounts differently, comes in from the top, and then rotates down. It's opposite the other one. Okay, and wrapping up the passenger side. Here's a good opportunity to also grease this tie rod ball joint. Okay, always good to check this out afterwards. Okay, hit the brakes. Oh yeah, let go. Make sure the caliper comes on and releases. Hit it again. Release. Okay, we're good. We'll check the other side and call it a day. Okay, we're all done. I'm checking the reservoir. It's a little bit low. I'm going to add a little brake fluid to it and call it a day. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you have smooth driving and safe braking. Bye now.